Greetings, everyone. Um, Pretty hot day in Madison. Couple hot days. So I got my fan on. I hope it doesn't bother you. Um, so welcome, everyone. Um, and We haven't met for a couple weeks. I took a day off last time, so good to be back. I'm going to just introduce or maybe remind you, if you already know, of a particular meditation practice that's really, I guess, in the Zen tradition. Um, that's very old, and what it is counting the breaths, and there's different ways to do this. So one way is to just count 4 breaths and then begin again. And what happens pretty quickly is that practice sort of recedes into the background, and the counting becomes really pretty quiet, and then the mind just goes on its merry way, as it likes to do. Um, but this other kind of counting is a concentration practice, and uh, we count the breaths. So in and out, that's a count of 1. But there's no end to the counting. So we'll count the first breath 1, and then the second breath 2, and so on. Um, and I'd like to skip over just the intro way of doing it, which is you just keep doing that. And you know, if you get lost, like at number 37 or something, then you start back at 1 again. But you don't beat yourself up for doing that. You just start at 1 again. It doesn't matter anyway. Nobody knows what number you're on, right? Um, so uh, that's one level of the practice. But there's a deeper level of the practice, which is that while we're counting, so in between the numbers, the mind needs to be either focused entirely on the body, on the breath, or on the senses, like if you're hearing something or whatever, that's fine, but not thinking. And so if thinking starts, then we go back to 1. Okay? And that's the deeper level of the practice. So you could do it either way. Maybe if you've never done it before, just count 1, 2, and then you're up to 19, 20, and in between the numbers, don't worry about what the mind's doing. Just stay with the counting. Maybe that's enough. I don't care which way you do it. It doesn't make any difference for what we're doing tonight. But if you're an experienced meditator, try focusing and being aware of the arisings in the mind. And then if you have a thought, then go back to 1 again. So the safe base for the mind to be at is on the senses, because that's not thinking. Sensing things is not thinking. So that's fine. So that means we're feeling the body. That means we're hearing sounds. Maybe we're seeing light or darkness, whatever. And that's all okay. So it's a matter of using the body as a refuge from the runaway mind. Okay? It's very effective for that. And then just see how far you go with counting. And it may go something like 1, 1, 2, 1, 6, 1, but over the long term, the numbers definitely get higher, and at a certain point, it's just safe. So this is seeking a refuge, really. It's just seeking a refuge in the body, and calming the mind, the thinking mind, not the noticing mind, but the thinking mind. Okay. And that's going to work with the Qigong, with the microcosmic orbit, and we'll go through that. Many of you have done this with me, and there are 14 points in the microcosmic orbit, so that's an internal breath practice. And then we'll go from there into the counting practice. But I did want to introduce it so I don't have to interrupt what we're doing to go back into it. Is that clear? Any questions about the counting? Probably you've done counting. If you're a meditator in some form or another, you've done counting. But this is really kind of fun. Um, uh, you know, and just to see how far you can go. And there really is no end. Um, you know, once you get in the zone, you can just be in the zone. It's really quite amazing. So, okay, well, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. Lavinia, you're back. I haven't seen you in a little while. Okay. The recording is on, by the way. So for those of you who need a reminder or you're new, this is the basic Tai Chi warm-up. And my teacher, Tricia Yu, calls it the Tai Chi twist, which I think she kind of got from Chubby Checker. I don't know for sure, but it's the Tai Chi twist anyway. And we're going to incorporate this in. So, okay. So let's just sort of drop into our posture. Okay, and then you can feel it when you're kind of present, when you're aligned, when you're not tipped forward or back. You can just sort of feel the body just sort of settles into this upright posture. Okay. Okay, very good. So let's bow to the 7 directions, and then so with everything we do the opposite first because it's balancing. So we're going to go dip the knees, go down, come up. Okay, so we're going to bow to the east or to your first direction. Okay, shift the weight, turn to the right, dip. South. Shift the weight, turn, and rest. So it's in breath. As we bow, it forces the air out. Out breath, then in breath, again coming up. Then out breath, and then turn. To the north. And then back to the first position. And then, so watching the hands go up, 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 up. Extend, stretch a little, circle. Mind goes down the back. Touch floor. And coming back up. Then the hands continue. So within the seventh direction is internal. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, let's go into Trembling Mountain. And you sort of want to do a little bit of a body scan and just be sure that your joints are, you're letting go of your joints. Neck, shoulders, knees, obviously, elbows, wrists. So just start this in a just whatever rhythm the body wants. If you've been really active, the mind's been really busy, you might want to start this kind of rapidly. Uh, just do this however it feels right. Okay, good. Now let's add in a little bit of the Tai Chi twist into this. Okay, and let's slow the bouncing down a little. So it's still bouncing, but okay, and slow it down even more. Okay, now let's speed the bouncing up. So the bouncing and the twist are they're just going together, they're natural. So bounce. And you can do this bigger if you want to. You can twist even a little more. Stretch out your sides a little. So this is replicating some of the natural rhythms of the body. So we have the rhythm of the breath in and out, that's slower. We have the rhythm of the heartbeat. So the bouncing is maybe the heartbeat, maybe it's faster. And the twist maybe is the breath. So see if you can first organize the bouncing with the heartbeat. It's about once a second. So there'll be several bounces between each twist. And then the twist with the breath. So it can be 2 twists per breath or whatever, just so you're conscious of the breath while you're doing this. And if you are, it'll organize. So just like we can breathe and our heart can beat at the same time, we can do this trembling mountain and the twist at the same time. Okay, and now let's bring in mindfulness and just notice the mind. Is the mind pretty quiet? It's probably filled with sensation of the movement. If it's thinking, then intensify this practice. If your mind's really going, then bring the felt sense in stronger. So it's not that thinking is bad or thoughts are our enemies or anything like that. It's just we need refuge from the thinking mind, because if it's left to run unharnessed in any way, it just comes to dominate everything, as you know. Then we get lost. So What notices the mind is our awareness, our mindfulness. And the mindfulness notices the sensations of the body, the senses, and it notices the mind. So this is mindful movement. It's just movement and mindfulness. Okay, let's slowly reduce the movements. Now drop into the upright, and maybe it's softer. It feels more natural because the body's all loose. Can you sense the heartbeat? So there's this fast rhythm of the heartbeat going along with the slower rhythm of the breath. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead now and loosen up the neck and shoulders. Just let your arms be heavy and just, rotate your shoulders around. Okay. And then you might want to widen the stance for the next one. And so, breath, breath. Okay, let's count these breaths. So in and out is 1. Next is 2. You can do this deeply or, more subtly. If thoughts start to intrude, then sit down more. Do this bigger. If you lose count, just start at 1 again. Okay, let's do 2 more. Okay, very good. And now rocking the pelvis. You may get a tiny bit of pain in your lower back. If it's just a tiny bit, that's okay. Just as it stretches or compresses. Just to keep that lower back flexible. Okay, and then circling the hips. And you can kind of envision this, so it's the spine comes down, and there's the tailbone, and then that goes right down into the pelvis. And then the pelvis has these 2 sockets where the thigh bones come up. So we're rocking it, or we're circling it on those 3 points. And then the other way. You know, if you drive some distance, it's just really good to, you know, when you go to a rest stop or when you're done or whatever, just to do this. Okay, very good. And then the balancing. So shift the weight, sink down. When you're stable, and lift that other leg. Okay, very good. Very good. Even if you just do this uh, in this class, just for even just a few minutes, once a week, that's enough. That's enough to keep from getting stiff normally, unless we do a whole lot of sitting. Okay, backwash, tree, and spring. So come back to center, bringing the attention. We bring our mind straight up the body and to the crown of the head, and then just let the head sort of pull the body down and opening the vertebrae. Our attention's moving down the spine, bending the knees, and then just hang there, let the spine be really open. This is actually really relaxing for the spine. Check that your weight is even on your feet and you're not tipped forward. Okay, and then let's come up. Okay, so we're moving our attention up the spine now. And then just when the chin starts to rise, then the hands come, pointing to the body, pointing to the sky, pointing all around. One, pointing down to the earth. So bringing the attention up, straight up the body, up, 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 out the top of the head. Eyes are looking up, way up. 2, and 3. Okay, good. So at your own pace, go ahead and do another backwash. And just carefully bring the attention down, slowly down the spine. Okay, and then we'll do one more set. Okay, so now let's use our dominant hand, and we're going to point to the body. With the in-breath, we're going to move the hand up, pointing to the center of the body, up to the top of the head, then up, pointing up, and then it's going to go down and point forward. Okay, so this is the orbit. So first we're pointing toward the body, in breath, breathe normally, and then away. But it's always at the center line of the body. Okay? And now we're going to use our eyes. And so we're using our eyes as if we're looking at where our hand is pointing as we're going up. So we're going to light up the perineum. We're going to do this slowly. And then as you come up, light up the tailbone, light up the kidneys, so around the back, light up between the shoulder blades, and then the top of the neck, and then the brain, or the skull, then crown of the head. Now we're going to turn the hand. As we come down, the eyes are looking at the forehead, then they're looking down to the heart, and then down to the abdomen, down to the sex organs, and back down to the perineum. Okay, that's the microcosmic orbit. This is an extremely ancient practice. It's taught in Qigong, really, I think, universally. Okay, so there's actually 14 points. So we're going to start with number 1, perineum, connection to the earth. Okay, so we're going to point to the perineum, in breath, out breath, in breath, On the out breath, we're going to move point up to the tailbone. In breath, out breath. So we're lighting this up. In breath. Okay, with the out breath, now we're pointing along the spine, pointing up higher. They're called the kidneys. 2 breaths. Eyes are looking at this place. And with the out breath, now we're coming up the spine more, and we're between the shoulder blades. Breathe in, breathe out. And breathe in again. Okay. And then with the out breath, now we're pointing, moving up to where the neck meets the skull. In, out. In, out. Okay, very good. Now the crown of the head. Okay, eyes are looking there, and now turn the hand point forward. Now the eyes are looking from inside at the forehead, right between the eyes and on the forehead. Breathe in, breathe out. And the out breath, we're going to come down all the way down to the heart. It's inside the body. Eyes are now looking at the heart. And the next out breath, we're moving down the inside front of the body, down to the belly. In, out, in, out. Okay, and then down to the genitals. And then finally back down to the perineum. Okay, and just rest there. Okay, let's switch hands and we'll repeat. So let's do it together. Okay, so perineum is 1. So in breath, out breath, in breath. The next out breath we go to 2. It's the tailbone. In, out, in, 2. Okay, with the out breath, 3. This is the spine where the kidneys are. Okay, next out breath, 4 between the shoulder blades. Okay. With the next out breath, going up to where the spine meets the skull. 5. Okay, we go higher. We're going up to the brain. This is 6. It's the middle of the skull. Okay, and then 7, we're doing the crown, the top of the head. Eyes are looking. Okay, now turn the hand. As we go down, we come down to 8, the middle of the forehead. Okay, and then out breath, 9, down to the sternum, with the heart, 9. Okay, and then 10 is down to the abdomen area, solar plexus. Okay. 11 is the lower dantian at the lower abdomen. Okay. And 12, genitals. 13, should be 14, I missed one. This is perineum. So repeating, so switch to the major hand. So perineum 1, in, out. Okay, up to the tailbone 2. in, out. Okay. 3 is, yeah, 3 is the base of the spine. That's the one I missed. Okay, and then 4 up higher in the spine is the kidneys. And then 5 is the between the shoulder blades behind the heart. Okay, and 6 where the neck meets the skull. And 7 is the brain, middle of the head. And then 8 is crown. And 9, forehead. And 10, sternum or heart. And 11, solar plexus. And 12 is the abdomen, lower dantian. 13 is the sex organs. And then 14 is perineum again. Okay? So that's the 14, and we'll do that with counting when we're sitting. But first, let's just do an in-breath and go all the way from the perineum to the crown. Okay, so dip the knees. So in-breath, point up, out-breath, down, rest. Okay, now in-breath, all the way up, rest, out-breath, all the way down. Okay, switch hands. In-breath, up, rest, out-breath, down, rest. Switch hands. In-breath, rest, out-breath, rest. Switch hands. On your own. Both hands. One up, one down. Okay, let's count them. Starting with 1. Just keep counting. Okay, let's do 3 more. Come back to standing. Okay, so you may have noticed as long as you're moving, and you're moving with the breath, the mind tends to stay quiet. if we give it something to do, which is, okay, mind, you thinking mind, you can count. Okay, I can do that, I'll count. And then this microcosmic orbit, with the breath and the movement, we can stay in that mindfulness, in that pure mindfulness. So let's try it again. And, you know, as one hand's up, then the other's down, and then switch. So this would be the movement. And the eyes are confused here because both hands are moving. So the eyes are just still. Okay? So with this movement and with the counting. Okay, so whenever you're ready, just keep counting. If thoughts intervene, then go back to 1. Okay, let's do 3 more. Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and switch to sitting. Okay, let's go with just let your body just settle into this upright posture. It's different now that it's sitting. It feels different. The body needs to get used to it. You may want to touch your fingers to your thumb or put your hands together, whatever you like. All right, and now let's go through the microcosmic again. And first we'll just do the sweep from the perineum to the top of the head. And that can be in breath up, out breath down, or in breath up, rest, out breath down, rest, whatever you choose. And then count each one. Use the eyes to direct the attention. And then feel the movement. Feel it on the spine. Feel it when it's at the crown. We're not just imagining this. I mean, we are, but we're also feeling it. So there's a definite feeling that something inside the body's moving, and our attention is what's moving it. This is light or warmth. This is chi or love or energy moving inside the body. Very good. Very good. Let's just do 3 more. Okay, and now together, starting down at the perineum, we're just going to go in breath, and then with the out breath, we're going to say 1. 1. In breath, out breath, we're going to move up to the tailbone. 2. Next pair of breaths, move up. 3. Keep going with every pair of breaths. 4. 5. Don't worry about exactly where it is. 7 is the brain. 8 is the crown. 9 is the forehead. 10 is the sternum. 11 is the solar plexus. 12 is the abdomen. 13 is the sex organs. 14 is the perineum. So we're counting from 1 to 14 and repeating. Move at your own pace. And when you get to perineum, then rest. Okay, for the next cycle, we're going to breathe in that point. We're going to breathe in that pearl and out. So the breath is coming in and out the nose, but it's also coming in and out one of those 14 points that you're at. So let's just try. So breathe in the perineum, out the perineum. 1. In the tailbone, out the tailbone. 2, and so on. And rest when you get to the perineum. Okay, now we'll count from 1 to 14, moving up the body at your own pace. In breath and move on the out breath. Just get it in the approximate place. Just move up the spine. And rest when you get to the perineum. Now, if you like, you can just count 1 goes all the way to the top, 2 down, and 3, and continue. And then let the movement of the eyes, let the movement of the chi fade, and then just sitting and breathing, counting the breaths. Feeling the body. Our time is getting up, but with this amount of practice, you can just do the breath counting probably for quite a long time. If you want to do that, you can just mute my voice or exit the Zoom, because you've in a very good position now for the mind to be still and just the counting to proceed. This will have the effect of becoming very, very concentrated. Okay, so for those of you who want to keep practicing, I'm not going to do the closing sequence. Okay, so if you'd like to exit the Zoom, please do so. If you want to stay for a conversation, that's what we'll do next.
Thank you, Sid.
So I suggest you're taking off, Todd. Oh, you're just saying hi. Okay. I suggest you use this counting technique when you're doing any Qigong. Just integrate the counting of the breaths. Or if you're going to do whatever, if you're going to do a series of movements, like do 8 of them. and count them. If you do tree and spring maybe 8 times, you count each one. And so you're just integrating the counting with the movement. And by doing that, the mind becomes still pretty quickly because it has something to do, which is to count. And then it's getting all this sensory input. We're feeling all the movement. And the mind then tends to really quiet down. And once then you go into your sitting practice, you don't even have to move then. You can if you want to, but you don't need the movement anymore because the breath is enough. And then by becoming concentrated, it's a translation of some Pali word, but what it really is more like concentration, like frozen orange juice. They call it concentrate. It's like that's concentrated. It's dense, and everything is here, right? It's not like one pointed focus on one thing. You just get this sense that the body and the mind, the senses, everything is present right now, and it's all in harmony. And so that's the concentration aspect of it. And you'll get it pretty fast with the counting. It's just very good technique for giving the mind something to do. And then after a while, the counting just calms down too, and it doesn't even happen. So we've been doing this in prison. And there's a practitioner in prison. This is his practice, is doing this counting, and he's got lots of time to do it, and it's very effective for him. He's kind of become an expert at it, I would say. So, questions or comments about that?
I just
I have
was,
a question.
go on.
Thanks, Todd. When we first sat down in the first time that we synchronized our breathing with just going up the back to the crown and coming down the front. I always have a little trouble coming down the front than going up the back, but that's another question. But my question is, then we did exercises with pointed exercises with the different points.
Right.
Then when we at the end, when we once again return to the exercise of sending, synchronizing the breath up, sort of in a oval down.
Right.
It was much harder for me. I found I had to work. I was like lifting a rock up my back up to the.
Oh,
Is there an energetic reason for that, or was I just pooped out?
I don't know. I was trying to teach both at once, which maybe was a mistake. But if you know that there are those 14 points, when you do the sweep, just in, up, out, down, you just sweep
I
through.
love that, by the way. It's a very it's going to be a go-to for grounding.
It's very grounding.
It's a
But
great.
what you also know that you're hitting all those points.
Yes.
That's why. So they call it a string of pearls. The ancients called it a string of pearls. So you want to kind of get a sense that there are these points, but you don't have to practice with them if you don't feel like it. They're just there. So when you do the sweep, they just all light up going up. It is harder, I think, for everybody to visualize going down the front. For some reason, it's much because the spine is there. And the spine's continuous. So it's much easier, I think, to imagine or to feel that going up the spine because it's a ladder. And then going down the front's a little more of a stretch.
It's like.
Yeah, I so agree. And that's how I feel about it too. It's more vague going down the front. It's just not as clear. But that's okay.
Yeah.
There's just there's not as the spine is full of sensory points. I mean, the whole spine is full of nerves, and the inside front of the body maybe doesn't have as many, so we're just not as aware of it. Maybe I'm making that up, but whatever it is, it's harder going down the front. I agree, and I've been doing this for 30 years, so but that's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it should be clearer or something. It's fine. It's just fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, and don't be hung up on exactly where those points are either.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. As long as you're moving up the spine, and then you get here at number 8. I guess that's a touch point.
I do confess that I really appreciate the first half hour of the practice tonight, because by that time I was closer and closer to my body and centering, such that I could actually feel that going up my back. It was something I was actually in touch with. So, but it takes a while to get in tune with that. So the warm up actually, they're not really warm up exercises, but they kind of warm you up to get you closer and closer in touch with your energy and just and your attention, and to feel that. I'm not sure I would have felt it starting off.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It does take some time because we live so much up here, and our jobs and the society requires a lot of this. And so this Qigong is not about that. So it's a transition time. And what you said about feeling it, that's the key. Because some people say, oh, I'm supposed to visualize this. Oh, I can do that. That's my mind. I can do that. And visualization is definitely a part of Qigong, but that's not all of it. It's feeling it. And the feeling it is more important, than imagining it. Some people actually can't visualize very well. Like a teacher once told me, 20% of the population they're just really not visual internally. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just, and that's just not it. What is it is the feeling. Everybody can feel it. And so when you said you can really feel it, that's when you know you're there.
Yes, I mean, that was a breakthrough for me. And just like with meditation, it just in my loving kindness practice, I have to like work myself down into that mood, 20 minutes or so, and I have to get that feeling. Then it's not something I can just jump right into, when I sit down. So similar veins.
I took an 11-day retreat, a jhana retreat, with a woman, Mary, what's her last name? Anyway, she's been teaching this and teaching these retreats and doing these practices for decades. And she says, it always takes me 30 minutes to get into it. I almost dropped my teeth. She said, yeah, it takes me about 30 minutes.
It does.
To come into it. And
truth.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we lived 2,000 years ago and life was way simpler, we wouldn't have to undo all the busyness. We could drop into it sooner. And for a lot of practices, we do drop into them sooner with experience. We drop into it sooner. But there always is that beginning. And just for me, I just have to always remember that. Say, geez, this meditation is really crap. Say, oh, no, it's not. I'm just getting into it. I've just got to slowly getting into it, so. And unfortunately, for some people, they never get past that. And they just say, I can't do this. This doesn't work for me. I'm not going to do this. Because they don't get past that. If you're a jogger, I was a runner for a long time.
That's it. The runner's high, right? That's your.
If you only run for 20 minutes, all you get is the pain, right? I mean, it's a good workout and so on, but you got to cross that threshold where, okay, now, it's the same thing.
Well, this was very helpful for me tonight because I have at times in the past kind of psyched myself out with the counting.
Yeah.
Getting confused about, oh, I'm counting. Does that mean I'm thinking?
No.
But realizing that counting Enumerating what you're doing or observing what you're doing is a very different thing than thinking about, what I'm going to eat when I'm done talking with.
Oh, no, yeah, counting's the practice. Yeah, it's not a distraction from the practice. That's what the practice is that you're doing. So whatever the practice is. So in this case, it's counting. So, another friend of mine said it's like throwing a dog a bone. The dog's hungry. It wants to chew on something. The mind wants to work, the thinking mind. So you throw it a bone. You say, okay, you can count. You do that, and don't lose track. And
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 the same with visualizing the pearls as you go up. That's not,
exactly the same.
I used to worry, oh, I'm thinking,
Mm-mm.
but no, I mean, that's,
Yeah, that's the meditation. Yeah, that's really good that you said that. That's really key because you're not distracted. You're focused. You're concentrated. You're feeling that go up. You're seeing it in your mind. That's what the practice is. So it's just so much easier to calm the mind if the body's moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're just going to sit down and calm the mind, you can do that, but it's harder. It takes longer. I think for me it does anyway. I'm kind of a physical guy. I expect we're all kind of are, we're oriented physically to some extent. That's why we're here. So.
actually, I'm here because I'm not very physically oriented,
Well,
and I want to be more.
well, I might disagree with you. You've been doing these qigong practices for what, 10 years?
Let's just say I've come a long way.
You've come a long way for sure.
I can remember one night in Sangha many years ago now saying, I realize this meditation does something because I used to be a guy who was always squirming in his seat. And now I seem to be able to sit still for periods of time. And I didn't, not just in meditation, but just kind of like I can sit still
Yeah.
more rather than constantly changing position and things like that. So
Yeah.
I wondered if they had any connection with each other, my practice and this
And the
newfound
stillness.
stillness. I remember people laughing in Sangha. So
With beginners in prison, it's huge. It doesn't matter what they're doing with their mind. If they can actually sit still, just that, if you can sit still without moving for 5 minutes, and most people have never done that. That's just a huge thing that you can even do that, and then they realize, oh, I can do this. I can actually control my body. It is. It's awakening. It really is. So, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. So great to see you guys, and keep practicing.
Take care.
see you next
Yeah.
week.